Hey everyone, welcome and thank you for joining me. My name is Marlene and I am with A Room to Bloom. And I decided to bring forth a message today, even though it has been for me a day of kind of a deep rest and healing. And you may have been experiencing that as well, especially around the moon phase. Today happens to be, let's see, the 15th of May as I record this, and there was a full moon in Scorpio, so it takes about 3 days to kind of come out of that energy. And so you could be feeling lingering effects of that, a variety of things from feeling energetically drained to eating more, to not eating more, to feeling more emotion, without having something that happened. So emotion is coming up that's been sitting dormant, etc. And I was definitely feeling this over the past few days, but yesterday evening, before I let's see, I'm trying to remember. I went out to do something for a while, and before I did, I've had this it's called quotationary book on my desk for some time, and I've wanted to just bring forth like a word from it. And so I flipped it open yesterday evening and it was like what I was thinking about is how I was feeling, and the experiences that I'm having, etc. And it's like I know what they're about, and yet it doesn't always mean that it is easy, or a walk in the park, or a piece of cake, however you want to look at that. It means that it takes work to transmute some of the stuff that's coming up that you're feeling, right? And but this was what was really interesting. I opened this book, and I've only used it for this and only a few times. So but the word that I opened it up to, it's self-realization, and that's the whole page. It's both pages. And it says becoming. So how interesting, right? Being on this spiritual journey. And so there's kind of all these different ideas of thought, I guess. Here's one. I'll read this one. It says, to be clearly and constantly aware of divine guidance is given only to those who are already far advanced in the life of the Spirit. It's in earlier stages we have to work, not by the direct perception of God's successive graces, but by faith in their existence. We are not merely fortuitous, but deliberate tests of intelligence and character, specially devised occasions, if properly used, for spiritual advance. Acting upon the working hypothesis, we shall treat no occurrence as intrinsically unimportant. So everything has a reason, right? We shall never make a response that is inconsiderate or a mere automatic expression of our self-will, but always give ourselves time before acting or speaking to consider what course of behavior would seem to be the most in accord with the will of God, most charitable, most conducive to the achievement of our final end. So that's also like when messages are coming in. I've spoken on this before, where sometimes you can get a message and go on and just put that message out right away, right? But sometimes there's messages that you can sense or feel that there is more to the message. And so it becomes a space of sitting with what was received for a while, asking questions about the deeper meaning of that. Is there more that you can show me regarding this, right? And then an unfoldment will start to take place. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. And that unfoldment, depending upon when the um, maybe the full story is ready to be released, right? It can happen fairly quickly. It can happen over a period of time. So let's take this idea of God never gives you more than you can handle, right? So it might be, here's a little bit of this, sit with that for a while, and here's a little bit more. Um, so sit with that, and now let's see how these work together. And then here's another bit of this, and we're going to put that on, and you can kind of see how it's building. And then there's this space where it's like, okay, I can feel that was that was it for that message, right? For that lesson, if you will. And so it doesn't mean that there isn't more, but it's kind of like a, okay, you sat with this, you looked at this from a variety of angles, and now you can take this and speak on it and help others with it, right? So um, yeah, so kind of interesting that came up because self-realization and or becoming, pardon me, is it's very different than what we maybe once knew, right? Let's see, there's a couple more in here. Let's see. The good news is not primarily of hardship and of suffering, but of creative experience, an immense enlargement and enrichment of life. No aspect of the experiment in depth is more characteristic than the perceiving of everything, right? So we receive and then we perceive it. How do we perceive it? The inward, so a perceiving of everything, the inward world and the outward world alike, right? So when people say as above, so below, or as within, so without, with eyes that for the first time see that one way is hard is certain, but no less certain is its wonder. Behold, I make all things new. That's Revelation 21:5. And this comes from P.W. Martin, Experiment in Depth, a study of the work of Jung, Eliot, and Toynbee. That other one, by the way, was by Aldous Huxley, just so you know, from the 7 Meditations. So I meant to read that. But, very interesting that came up in this journey. Again, like it said there, it doesn't mean that it's easy. It can be challenging, but there's still so much wonder in all of this this information that's coming to you in all different ways, right? So when it's hard, now here's the other thing. I'm trying to think about this. Yeah. So I grabbed this book off of my shelf that actually I had purchased for someone, and then they just weren't really tapping into anything. I got them, so I just hung on to it, and knowing that I would, tap into it a little bit here or there to help the collective recommend the book. But this book is called How to Feel Better, and I grabbed this earlier. I set this down, and then I had a different experience. So, and I opened it up for a message, and I do have the page marked here with this. But before I go further into how to feel better, because of things that can be hard, especially when we're around moon phases, so much going on, right? So I was watching this gal today, and I have to say I really appreciated and admired her because she was so authentic in her journey of, like, she didn't talk details, right? She didn't get to the nitty gritty of her story. Let's just put it that way. But she talked about the fact that, yeah, she's been going through it and she's been going through this healing journey, and she set up her camera and just um, kind of set it up at various stages of her day, which I found so interesting because um, today I just surrendered. There were things that I did want to get done today, but I was like, I was not there. I was not feeling it. I wasn't going to push myself. Um, and it's like, it was just like, I just surrendered. And then I was watching, and here I come across her video. And it was so interesting because, at one point, she's in bed, she's crying, she's whatever, and it's like, I had an emotional morning, and it's no surprise, right? And then she goes through her day, like, she's making food, she's cleaning, she's eating, and then she's trying to get outside, but she wants to get a little bit of work done, and she's just working through, trying to hang in there, and you can tell her emotions are, um like, she started out with a big dip, right? And then she just said, like, when she was videoing, she didn't feel as alone in her journey, right? And that's what it can be, that's really challenging about this journey. The self realization is that you can feel very alone, right? And so it was so interesting for all of this to have unfolded the way that it did. And she had practices that, I mean, you can do so many different things. uh, she didn't do like adult coloring, right? But if you're coloring, using color can raise your vibration. It can, anytime you're creating art, right? You might have tears flow through you, so you're processing emotion or releasing stuff that you're picking up that might not be yours. But if you're an empath, um, like, uh, just wanting, any relationships, not necessarily like partner, spouse, whatever, all that stuff, but like relationships to be good, right? What's good, right? To feel happy, to feel authenticated, to feel valued, loved, right? Understanding that everyone's not always going to see eye to eye, but still wanting to resolve things quickly. And so that was like something she was moving through. uh, just saying, like, it was more of a level of acceptance, saying, I have to move through this because that's not the way it is, right? I have to move through this, and I have to feel those feelings. Even though that's what I want, it's not what's happening, and it doesn't feel good, right? um, and again, good comes from the word God, so it keeps one in a challenging situation. And so this is where we lean into self-love, because if there are not others in our human and or physical experience that are resonating with us, and that was one thing she said too, her whole life she felt very different, and it was hard for her to even find anyone who could hold a conversation. And it is really interesting because I don't speak about this very often, but like quantum conversations, which is speaking about energy, right? Because everything is happening with energy before it's manifesting into the material world, right? So when you are sensitive, you pick up the energies first, right? And so it can make you feel like you have frayed nerves, like you have highs and lows. The word bipolar, right? Um, Highs and lows, right? And so it can just make you feel certain ways. And that's why it's so important to listen to your body, listen to your emotions, listen to yourself when your body speaks to you. If it's tired, it's saying, please rest, right? If it's hungry, it's saying, please eat. And that's, another thing, like I said, sometimes you're going to find yourself eating more. Sometimes you'll find yourself gaining weight. Sometimes you'll find yourself um, eating a lot, but not being able to hold weight on, right? Because the energy is moving really fast in your body. And by eating, you're trying to ground yourself into your human experience, and yet it's still processing very quickly, right? Metabolizing the food. Sometimes you're not going to be hungry, and you'll feel like kind of out of your body, if you will, and you have to work to get into your body. So that was like one of the things she was doing was, being outside, sitting in the sun, trying just to do stretching exercises. And then, so she did that for a while. And then eventually she's like, she still felt super high energy. So then she ran for a while. And then she came and she's like, now I feel this way. And she's trying to shed the energy. And it was like, so you could see, like, it was very interesting. And I thought, kudos to her, because being authentic and helping people with um, understanding they're not alone when they feel besides themselves, right? It's like, what's going on? It wasn't like something just happened. Someone came into the room, caused a big ruckus, and someone's crying. No, it's the stuff that's been sitting there for some time that comes up. It's the stuff you pick up from someone else, right? It's the stuff you picked up from the collective energy, right? And so it's figuring it out. It's processing ancestral wounds, different things like that, because we have cellular memory that we work through that maybe wasn't healed by, say, our mother and or our grandmother or whatever. And so, for somebody to do that work and to heal that stuff, then the any next generations, right, are it will be less for them, right? Because if somebody sat with it, processed the pain, healed that stuff. Okay, so here's the next one, How to Feel Better, again by Tori Press. This is the book. And I'm just going to tap into this very quickly. And what I opened it up to is, it says, Chapter 6, Set Yourself Free. Okay. There's a Buddhist teaching that asks you to imagine that you are going along, enjoying yourself, and minding your own business, when suddenly, out of nowhere, you are struck by a flying arrow. Now, there's a picture of this woman. It says, ouch, that hurts. And then it's WTF, why me, right? And I'm just laughing. I just saw that. But if you ever hear people talk about arrows being aimed at you, there are different cultures that speak about these arrows, and it can be like of ill intent, right? But it's so hard to fathom sometimes, and or to imagine that those that we love, that are closest to us, that agendas might be being shown, or they want us to see something in one way, but the words and actions, the words are not aligning with the actions, or moreover, the actions are not aligning with the words that they are saying. And so you can feel this discord there. It's not in alignment, and so you see it. So it says, of course, you'll be shaken and upset by the experience. There's no way not to be. So if someone's aiming arrows of ill intent at you, right? That's like, people talk about like evil eye or whatever, just negative thinking and intentions. It's kind of like that thing. And so that's when the second arrow hits. Now you're really agitated. So, hey, that hurts even more, right? So the first one is like, oh, second one, oh, right? And it's considerably more pain. As bad as it is to be struck by an arrow, being struck by 2 arrows is an undoubtedly worse situation. So if you could avoid one of them, wouldn't you want to? Sometimes in life we cannot help but encounter pain and difficulty. And when we do, 2 arrows fly at us. The first arrow is the misfortune itself. However great or small, it will bring with it some amount of pain that cannot be avoided. So in this example, they have getting stuck in traffic, the death of a loved one, a bout of depression, a global pandemic, getting a scary diagnosis, and then there's some blank lines that you could fill in. What's the first arrow? The misfortune itself. You might then react to your own pain in ways that create unnecessary additional suffering. That reaction is the second arrow. So, in an example, it says blaming or being angry at yourself, ruminating, wishing you'd done something differently, or asking, why me? Dooming thoughts, repressing feelings. Is something wrong? Like asking yourself questions like that. And it can be just as painful as the first, maybe even more so. But basically what that is the beating yourself up after you had the first thing. Like, so if you're feeling depressed and you're like, what's wrong with me, right? So that's like the second arrow. Getting a scary diagnosis, then having dooming thoughts, right? So it's like that. But there is good news. The second arrow is the one that you can avoid because it's the arrow you aim at yourself. The truth is, the world is not a safe place. It is a scary and vulnerable thing to go about life every day as a human. You have a million soft and tender spots for arrows to penetrate, and inevitably they will. There is no way to protect yourself from the first arrow, but you can learn to react to it with acceptance and self-compassion rather than resistance and self-blame. You can learn to avoid the second arrow. You can learn to set yourself free. I think I'm just going to stop there. I didn't realize that it kind of went on this long. It wasn't my intention to like read so much of this, but yeah. So I mean, that gives you an idea of this, not being hard on yourself, saying this is kind of like the diet that you were on, and you know, you weren't on it for a day or two, and then you're like, okay, are you at a weekend of whatever? And it's like, okay, on Monday you get back on it. And do you beat yourself up because you had a weekend where you overdid it? Well, maybe a little bit, but that's that second arrow. Instead of saying, I give myself grace because, and I really enjoyed that, and I'm grateful, right? And so it's like, but I can get back on, right? And without being hard on oneself. So then this brings me to the deck here called Touched by a Horse. It's a mystical compassion deck, which just seems so appropriate for the way that things are unfolding today. And for me too, like I don't have that gal's name, but like to kind of just talk about that. I just appreciated the fact that she was doing that and did that, and but there's also something about not everyone needs to know all of your stuff. And I have no judgment for her because I think she did a lovely job at presenting her stuff. It just depends on what your situation and circumstances are. Okay, so what message do you have here for the collective? Oh, yeah. Okay, so we have 4 horses. that are lined up here, and the word is attentiveness. Okay? And so it says, there is a plan laid out before you. The intentions of those who assume control at this time are being shown to you. The path is choreographed and exact. The plan will require skill in its execution, and rewards for the team may be great. You are being asked to play full out and to give your all. You are an integral part of the process and course that lie ahead. It is your choice whether to put your best self forward or to merely get through to the other side. I'm going to stop right there for a minute, because there is this thing about continuing on, or the idea of rest but don't stop. So when you are having very trying days, there are days where it's like you might have to pull back for a little bit, but that doesn't mean that, like, you might move through something for a few hours, or few hours a couple of times a day, but you pick yourself back up and you do a little something, and then you might have a dip again, just kind of like that gal was, and then you do something else for a little bit, right? You still try to get some things done and or accomplished. So anyway, I'm going to read that last sentence. It is your choice whether you put your best self forward or to merely get through to the other side. There is some risk either way, right? The arrows. It's hard to be human. Self-realization and becoming. It's not easy, but there's a lot of wonder in it, right? Your own ability to give more than you are asked for will determine if victory is at hand. Challenge yourself to go on course to excel. Rest and reward will follow either way. A glad heart will reward a full performance. Attentiveness, okay? Let's continue on here and see what else comes up. Oh, really pretty. I don't know that I've drawn this card before. Caution. Perhaps not all the facts are being revealed to you at this time. You see most of the picture, but should proceed with caution. So like I was saying, not everyone needs to know your stuff, right? You see, staying close as the pieces are revealed. So proceed with caution, staying close as the pieces are revealed. Only when you have the full picture can you determine what will be right for you at this juncture. So when I was talking earlier about the pieces that were given a little bit at a time by the divine, the signs, synchronicities, whatever, by angels, guides, okay, and we're given little pieces at a time, only when you have the full picture, right, can you determine what will be right for you at this juncture. So then again, that's like, do I share this message now? Have I gathered all of the pieces for this full lesson or story or whatever it is to share? Slow your pace, even stop if you need to, right? To allow all to reveal itself, right? So that's slowing down, pull back the reins, let the, when the term pieces fall where they may, right? Let them fall into your awareness, right? There may be deception or an omission that will result in misunderstanding and distension down the road. For now, stop, look clearly, watch each step, and proceed with great caution. Other opportunities are on the horizon. There is no need for you to rush this one. Trust, be patient, and watch it unfold, right? So that's what I was saying. There is this unfoldment, like here's a piece, here's a piece, here's a piece. And so we sit with it and we gather it. And then we're like, oh, I've been watching this unfold. I don't share everything, right? But then there'll come a time, especially after the experience is past, where I may share the unfoldment of something, right? Okay, so I went to pick up the deck and this fell out on the bottom, and so it was left on the table. It says barriers, okay? So left on the table. So it's like somebody's leaving something on the table. Think about in the old cowboy movies when, or whenever, like when people are playing cards, right? Or they're, oh, that's so interesting. I had a dream about this last night. Their chips. They left their chips on the table. I had a dream about something with this last night. Or somebody leaving their cards on the table. Okay, right now you are being herded into a situation. You may not know how you came to be here. There are only barriers ahead, however, they may be only an illusion. You have been going along with the herd, but it may be time for you to rethink your strategy and your personal plan. If you have arrived at this juncture without a sense of knowing how you got there, look at those around you. A certain, I'm sorry, if the if the company you are in now is the company you wish to continue with on this journey, or is it time to seek a new direction? Ask yourself what standards and what direction will take you to the perfect destination of your future. Reflect, look about, and make a conscious choice to belong or to move apart, right? In your experience, are you resonating deeply with what's going on, or are you having like this subconscious underlying knowing that this is not for me, that this does not resonate with my soul, but here I am, and now am I going to stay in it, or am I going to do something different? Do I need to rethink my strategy at this point and my personal plan? And that personal plan does not need to be divulged to anyone. Okay? Okay, we're going to take another one here. Face the fear. Fear may be keeping you from moving on to the next step of your destiny. Allowing a barrier of fear to create self-doubt may be holding you back. You are being asked to draw upon your warrior energy. Fear is the oppositional forces to all love. The task at hand is to become an able warrior, charging into the truth, knowing that you will prevail. Bravery, courage, and strength are your tools as you are supported and support others in this situation. It will all unfold as it is meant to. You are calm, decorated, and ready to face the unknown. You are creating through love. Your guides will direct you and keep you safe. All good will ultimately come from this time period as you pass through fear to trust and love. Oh, golly, I am full of goosebumps here, and what is coming to me is I can't say her name all of a sudden. I had it. She was a warrior, and she was getting messages and visions from spirit. I can't say her name right now. Hopefully it'll come to me as we move along. Otherwise I'll type it into the comments. But face the fear, and in the word fear is the word ear, which also means listen closely, right? Listen to your heart, listen to spirit, listen to God. Allowing a barrier of fear to create self-doubt may be holding you back. Okay, so we have barrier in here twice. Okay, yeah, I have goosebumps again. Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc. That's who I'm thinking about. Okay, here's the image. The word is harmony. Vibrations of love and acceptance are emanating from you and around you at this time. You are seeking peace and simplicity at this juncture, and you offer the same to everyone about you. Notice all the beauty around you. Open your heart, sharing affirmations, affection, and love with those you care about. Your innate ability to seek harmony and to create is where it is lacking, makes you a magnet to others. So again, I'm going to read that. Your innate ability to seek harmony and to create it where it is lacking makes you a magnet to others. Gentleness, peace, love, and beauty are your tools, as are living your true purpose. At this time, seek to sustain tranquility, simplicity, harmony in your journey, right? So just like that gal was doing today, she was feeling it, right? Feeling some kind of way. It's like, okay, I pull back. And what she's really after is that harmony, that I feel peaceful. And we can feel that, but it's also recognizing when we're not feeling in harmony, what steps can we take to get back into alignment? Because when we're not in harmony, we're in discord. And so that means we might have something or someone or different energies pulling at us, right? And people can be energies. It can also be a spiritual thing going on, right? And so it's like, okay, I'm going to feel this, work through this, cry about that, let this go, let the anger out, write about this, maybe work on some art, and I'm going to bring myself back to a place of peace. I'm going to pull back when I need to, because it is that harmony that is attracting others into your life and experience. It's like there's another deck that has a card, and it's like you are a bridge mender. And that's what's coming to me about this, right? When you are harmony, it just is what emanates from you, and others want to be around that and a part of that. Okay, I sorry. I looked down at this image, and I'm feeling very heavily drawn to pull this card. It's sitting on the top of the deck. So we have what would be a mother horse and a little one, and it speaks about nurturance. Okay, so to me, the first thing is nurturing your own inner child, right? So that when you are beside yourself, if you had a child with you, you would nurture that child who was either afraid or scared or anxious or whatever that was. You would nurture them to try to get them to calm down, to bring them into harmony. You would help them to face their fears, right? You would be attentive to them, right? And so here it's like nurturing your inner self, but let's go ahead and read this. Perhaps one of the most important gifts in life is that of nurturance. At this time on your path, you are being asked to nurture, right? So you can nurture yourself and you can nurture others. The one in need may be someone else close to you, or it may be yourself. Some small, loving, and caring gestures, comments, and tokens are called for. You will find within yourself the ability to replenish the spirit and encourage the beauty, development, and growth about to take place. Only with nurturance can this growth occur. To give nurturance, it is imperative and should not be taken lightly, as it is one of the highest callings we can be asked to share. Find simple and free-flowing ways to cherish, appreciate, and encourage the tender growth. So there is this thing, and I don't know. It's like I try not to talk too much about my personal, personal stuff, but just in one situation, right? So, celebrating someone's situation, whatever that is, right? But then, um, how can I help, right? How can I help? But then it's like, all of a sudden, the second you offer to help, it's like, do you become a chaser? And I don't mean like in a loving, relationship like that, different kind of thing. But it's like, and then if someone else is like dancing around and saying no, avoidance, like at all costs of anything that's offered up for help. Um, then there's a clear message being sent that says, I don't need you. You have no value in my life, right? I only need you when I need you. And and when I need you, and when I need you, are you going to be there? Right? So then the question remains, as the self, do you say, oh yeah, I just sit here waiting for you to need me? Or do you go on with your own life and go, okay, or do you get bitter, right? Because it's like, I've been trying to help you, but you won't take the help. Okay, so you just let it be. Or do you just go on with your own life and say, I guess they didn't want the help, right? I guess I'll help myself. I'll nurture myself, because it also doesn't feel good when you want to help someone but they're rejecting you, or rejecting your help and or assistance or whatever, right? And so, but these are part of the tests too. These are part of the lessons. So, do you chase after someone who um, is, you know, however you want to look at it? You could say they're running. You could say they're rejecting. You could, to me, they're like, I see a lot more with it, like behavior, like how will I respond, right? These are, will I react or will I respond? These are tests for the self as well. But then it's also, how does it make me feel, right? And then, actually, interesting, I have this other book here, which I think I will bring a message from. It's called The Language of Letting Go, right? Actually, it's open, so let's just go to it right now. It says, some of us are so vulnerable to words, a well timed I love you, a chosen moment for I'm sorry, an excuse delivered in the right tone of voice, a pat on the head, a dozen roses, a kiss, a greeting card, a few words that promise love that has yet to be delivered can spin us into denial. Sometimes it can keep us denying that we are being lied to, mistreated, and or abused. There are those who deliberately set out to sway us, to control and manipulate us through cheap talk, right? They know, they fully understand our vulnerability to a well-timed words. Break through your naivety. They know what they're doing. They understand their impact on us. Now, I do want to say that this book is a book from Hazelton meditation series. Okay. So, anyway, it says, sooner or later we come to realize that if behavior doesn't match a person's words, interesting as speaking that, we are allowing ourselves to be controlled, manipulated, and or deceived. Sooner or later we will come to realize that talk is cheap unless the person's behavior matches it. We can come to demand congruency in the behavior and the words of those around us. We can learn to not be manipulated or swayed by cheap talk. How can we do that? We become cautious. We become aware. We pay attention. We watch for the unfoldment. We seek the truth. We cannot control what others do, but we can choose our own behaviors and our own course of action. We do not have to let cheap, well-timed talk control us, even if the words we hear are exactly what we want to hear to stop our pain, right? And what could that pain have been in that example I was giving? To be needed, to be wanting to be helpful. And it's like, okay, if you offer once, someone schedules whatever, you offer twice, still doesn't work out, you offer a third time, and you're feeling the rejection, the this, right? We're going to do everything we can to not accept their help and see how it makes them feel. See if they react, see if they whatever. But so what do? Instead of nurturing them, we just pull back, pull way back in, and turn that nurturance onto yourself. But then the second that the phone rings, do you jump and they go, and you go, how high when they ask you for something? Do you say how high? Or do you react? Do you respond? Do you play the game an eye for an eye, if you will? Not right now, right? Because now attitude, right? Could it be an attitude thing? Or do you just simply nurture yourself? Because when you nurture yourself and you raise your vibration, then you're attracting what's in that vibration into your energetic field. But if you're feeling here in a lower vibration and you're reaching out to them and they're playing games, they could have a lower vibration yet, right? But they might not be reaching out to you because they can't reach your vibration. So it's like, if you want to take the idea of go down to their level, people use the word stoop to their level, but it's not really like that. That's not what I'm really getting at. But when you have a higher vibration, you have the ability to lower your vibration. And you might do that plenty of times, but sometimes you might start saying, no, I think I'm just going to stay here and nurture myself, and I'm going to hold space for them. I'm going to give them plenty of space to do their own work. And when they start rising, then I might lower mine a little bit, but I'm no longer willing to drop way down here. I've done a lot of work to get my energetic field up here. So I'm going to sit with whatever I need to sit with. I'm going to continue to nurture myself where I'm at. I'm going to hold space for those that are moving through whatever they're moving through, which might be denying their own truth, right? And I'm just going to keep nurturing myself. And if they have like I'm going to say an energetic trampoline, right? Where it's like, boom, we have a good day, and they jump way up. And it's like they can reach your energetic field, but can they hold it? It might be for a moment. It might be on a energetic high, if you will. But can they hold it and stay there? It takes practice. It takes work to get there and to stay there. We can get up here and we can have a little dip and we can get up, but eventually we kind of start. If you want to imagine this like a staircase and go, here's my energy. I move up a little bit. I move up. Sometimes I move back a little bit. Sometimes I move up and I move up. This is what's coming to me is when people say one step forward, two steps back. But in this case, like two steps forward, you might take one back. You're assimilating energies and experiences, but you keep rising, right? You keep rising in your experience. So the end quote here today in that was, today I will let go of my vulnerability to words. God, help me trust myself to know the truth even when I am being deceived, right? Help me cherish those relationships where there is congruity, right? Where words and actions align, where people keep their word. Help me believe I deserve congruity and truth in the behavior and the words of those I care about, right? I deserve that. So not only do you hold space for others to do the work, you hold space for yourself, because you don't have to continue to dip down into that energy, right? It's like, it doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean you don't care about them. It doesn't mean that someday you won't meet them for coffee, but it also doesn't mean that you have to have them over to your home and living there, moving in, all of that type of stuff either, right? It might mean we can do a check here. You can say like a temperature check, if you will, right? We meet for coffee and we kind of see where that is, or we meet. I say for coffee, but whatever, you meet, and it's like kind of on a common ground, and it doesn't have to be for a certain period of time. If there feels a dissonance or a discord, it's like, okay, just moving on, right? But time and space have a way of healing that, because when time apart happens or energy is not given to a situation, it gives someone time and space to do the work themselves and to have their own experiences and whatever that is, right? So yeah, whether you're being called to nurture someone else or nurture yourself, whatever that is. Okay, let's see. Now the next deck that I want to go to is the Crystal Sound Healing Oracle by Geraldine Glass. Let's see what comes up here. What would you like to bring forth for the collective today? What messages do you have for the collective? Okay, so I'm just going to move some of these cards over and see if I can... I want to get these other ones that I had in order. So we had attentive. Well, they don't have to be in order. We'll just see what comes up. But we did just have nurturance drop. So nothing happens without a reason. So were you nurturing someone, but you've just kind of stepped back from it? Or was someone nurturing you and they stepped back? Or nurturing yourself and you step back from that? Okay, under attentiveness, what do we have? We have charcoal. Cleansing, clearing, and releasing negativity, right? Again, there's a plan laid out for you. The intentions of those that assume control are being shown to you, right? So you may be being guided to cleanse and clear and release negativity. Okay, what else do we have here? With barriers, think about charcoal. It's used, emergency rooms use it if someone or a pet or whatever I believe they use it for pets, sorry. It took something that was poisonous or whatever, I think poison control, because it is an absorbing thing. And also crystals that are black, right? Absorb negative energies, okay? Releasing negativity. And I might go to the book in these, but let's just get the cards pulled. Under barriers, we have Ruby Peridot. Celebration, prosperity, and coherence. You are being herded into a situation. You may not know how you came to be here. There are barriers ahead. However, they may be only an illusion. You've been going along with the herd, but it may be time for you to rethink your strategy and your personal plan. So, coherence is the word that is coming to me, right? You're being herded, coherence, celebration, and prosperity here. Look at those around you. You have to decide if the company you are in now is the company you wish to continue with in this journey. Okay, what do we have under Face the Fear? Halite and mineral salt. Easing grief, loss, and sadness. Okay, that falls under Facing the Fear. Fear may be keeping you from moving on to the next step of your destiny. Have you been easing grief from something, loss or sadness? Self-doubt may be holding you back. You're being asked to draw upon your warrior energy. I'm getting a train again. And when I started this message, right when I decided to, because I was still kind of tired, right? And so I just was sitting here for a little bit, sitting with it, right? And just as I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, a train started, a train horn. Okay, what else do we have here under caution? Larimar Rose Quartz. Okay, rose quartz is a pink stone. It's used for healing, right? Grace, respect, and emotional healing. So again, perhaps all of the facts are not being revealed to you at this time. You see most of the picture, but should proceed with caution. Staying close to the pieces that are revealed, right? Again, the collection. Collect those pieces and build the story. What does it mean for you? You don't have to share it again right away. Only when you have the full picture can you determine what will be right for you at this juncture. Slow your pace and stop if you need to allow all to reveal itself. Okay, what else do we have here under harmony? We have ascended master. Yeah, see, and that's just it, right? Because it's saying your innate ability to seek harmony and to create it where it is lacking makes you a magnet to others, right? Being an ascended master, being able to hold that, right? Think of the yogi pose, the calmness, the balance, right? So the ascended master holds truth, self-worth, and an up-leveling for others, right? Gentleness, peace, love, and beauty are your tools as you are living your true purpose, right? Being an ascended master. I don't know if you can hear that. I wanted to look at the ruby, the peridot under barriers with the celebration, prosperity, and coherence. The number on the card is 20, which breaks down to a 2, which speaks about choices, right? Which is exactly what that barriers card speaks about. Making a choice. Do you want to stay in the situation you're in with those around you, or are you ready to create a new path? So the alchemy message is the gemstone combination brings a dynamic expression of beauty, ancient wisdom, and healing sound. It is infused with a sacred temple bequeathed by ancient wisdom keepers who guide you in embodying this profound knowledge. Ruby brings blessed abundance, carrying a history of nobility, prosperity, and meaning in many cultures around the world. Its red color activates the root chakra, your sense of home, stability, and belonging. The combination of ruby and peridot, which is a green stone, is magnetic. Peridot was mined exclusively for Egyptian royalty, and it holds a connection to the sun, helping amplify your inner radiance and maintain balance within. What does the card mean for you? The connection of peridot to ancient Egypt programs this bowl with an extraordinary combination of energies representing the celebration of life itself. It can be a key to unlocking your inner wisdom. Together, these gemstones amplify prosperity, fertility, miracles, unity, and the connection between music, medicine, and sacred geometry. Together, they ignite new thought patterns. If this centering tone is playing for you today, it is activating the vibrations of pure creation, a gathering of all parts of yourself into a coherent and harmonious whole. It is birthing the new, celebrating with these unifying frequencies. Wonderful. Wow, that's such a beautiful message. Anyway, I'm going to let something else just sit there for a while. Okay. Let's go to Face the Fear, the Hallite and the Mineral Salt, number 31. Easing grief, loss, and sadness. Okay, here's the card. The message is, if the deeply anchoring tones of the howlite salt resounded for you today, a clearing is happening. The salt amplifies a powerful cleansing and detoxifying frequency. It is a call to awaken the light within. Howlite mineral salt is a gift from Earth. It is rich in lithium, potassium, and magnesium, and it can have profound effects on the emotional body. This alchemy can bring mental balance and soothe the heaviness and hopelessness of grief, loss, sadness, or depression. What does it mean for you? This sound vibration holds space for you to fully release your despair, to safely acknowledge your sadness, to feel it, and to let it go. You have permission to cry a river of tears. The energies of depression, sadness, and grief can also be transformational. It's time to let go and to fill yourself with the breath of loving presence. Do not be afraid to feel these feelings. There is always a deeper meaning. There is always hope. Now, as I said today, I was feeling, right? I was crying. And then coming across that gal who was moving through her stuff too. Again, we just came out of this full moon in Scorpio. And so full moons are about release. I also I uploaded a video about release today, and it didn't have anything to do with the full moon because I believe, well, I might have done it during that period, but I wasn't thinking about the full moon when I did it, but it did happen to come up. And so it says, what are you being called to release, right? What are you holding? You know how when you're feeling some sort of way, right? The tears are right here. They're ready to come out. One person says one thing and there you are, you're crying. Or if you're masculine and you're not going to show your tears, it might come out as anger or whatever that is, right? But you are still feeling something. So you're being encouraged to face the fear, and I'm getting face the fear of your grief, of your loss, of your sadness. Face the fear of showing your emotions. Let your emotions flow. That's like it says, cry the river of tears, right? And if that isn't what works for you, maybe just try painting, try coloring. If you don't have any art supplies and you just go and you get a coloring book and color crayons, it can just help you feel, because if you're not listening to a whole bunch of stuff and you're just doing this and see what you're drawn to, you'd be surprised what starts to flow in peacefulness, right? And which then helps open up the blockages that you've been feeling. Okay, under the caution, the Larimore Rose Quartz, under grace, respect, and emotional healing, the message is, if this bright, loving, balancing sounds of the Larimar Rose Quartz bowl resounded as your harmonics today, you are opening, peeling away layers of protection and heaviness, and receiving emotional healing, right? It makes so much sense with this rose quartz. It's all about healing your emotions. You are integrating respect and integrity within yourself so you can create true and lasting relationships, right? So again, if you're offering help to someone but they're denying or playing, whatever it is, right? And it's like, so now you want to pull back and be respectful to yourself. It's like, okay, I've offered a number of times. I'm not going to sit by the phone and go, oh, yay, right? So you give respect and integrity within yourself so you can create true and lasting relationships. Not relationships that say, use me, I'll sit here and wait all the time for you. No, I'm going to keep living my life. I'm going to keep nurturing myself, right? This cultivates a safe and judgment-free space where all opinions can be expressed freely and all can coexist. So one can, you can coexist, right? We give grace to others. We respect others, but we can still heal ourselves. And we can say, you're on your journey where you are. I'm going to hold space for you, but it doesn't mean that I have to sit by the phone and just wait. Like, be somebody just sitting and waiting forever. I don't have to do that. I can carry on with my life. Okay. And or my experience. Okay, under the, oh, the Ascended Master, I realized that I missed the first one, but we'll get back to that. Again, truth, self-worth, and up-leveling. If the music of the sublime played for you today, you are being reminded of your worth, your truth, and your unique purpose. Receive the unwavering, loving support of the Ascended Master Bowl and feel the energy reflected in the image of the pink granite Buddha located on the island of Hawaii, pictured on the card. This ever-gifting energy bathes you in abundance and expansiveness while realigning you with your higher self. The frequency of this divine energy invites you to awaken to higher realms. What does the card mean for you? The Ascended Master Bowl amplifies the message of peace, truth, and divine love, love in human form. You are being asked to step up and step into your worthiness and express yourself authentically. If you are feeling undeserving or not good enough, know that these old limiting beliefs and patterns are being cleared. The Ascended Master Alchemy is restructuring and updating all of your human systems, right? Getting an update. Okay, and then we're going to go back to the charcoal. Okay, so let's see. Again, that charcoal fell under attentiveness, and that there is a plan laid out before you. The alchemy message is that if charcoal sound resounded its deep tones for you today, know that there is a symphony of sound clearing and cleansing your past, regrets, remorse, emotional drama, and anything that keeps you from being fully present, right? So like that gal that I was giving an example of, she was feeling her stuff. I was feeling my stuff. You go and it's like, am I being here right now? And that's what you work on by anytime you recognize that I'm living back there, I keep bringing that up, right? Or I'm living out there because I'm worried about this or that. Worry is the future. Shame, regret, and fear, that type of stuff is in the past. So anything that keeps you from being fully present. This powerful detoxifier supports your body's biochemistry by accelerating the cleansing processes. It also gives birth to the new patterns of thinking and being. You are releasing stagnant energies that may be blocking your self-expression. You are detoxifying at a physical, emotional, and spiritual level. You feel cleansed and light. What does the card mean for you? Charcoal comes with a strong message of hope. The angel wing on the card symbolizes a new beginning. You are protected. I'm going to hold that up again. You are protected. You let go and rid yourself of negativity. You are free from limiting beliefs and old ways of thinking that kept you from shining. Charcoal invites your truth to emerge, and it gives you permission to be your authentic self, right? Okay, so that's it. And then what I wanted to do is probably wrap this up with a message from Mary, Queen of Angels deck by Doreen Virtue. Let's see what comes up here. Which would be so apropos, right? The mother energy. Yeah, I have goosebumps as I'm saying that. So let's see what else is here. All right, what would you like to bring forth for the collective right now? Okay, we have the feminine. I allow my feminine nature to shine brightly as a valuable part of my identity, right? My feminine nature. So sometimes as a feminine, you may be pushed heavily into your masculine energy because of needs, right? things that need to be taken care of, not wanting to ask for help, not just waiting for a masculine to come along. So you handle things on your own. You roll up the sleeves and you just get her done, if you will, right? So again, I allow my feminine nature to shine brightly as a valuable part of my identity. So that falls under cleansing, clearing, and releasing negativity and attentiveness. Let's keep going here. What else comes up under the barriers? And then the ruby peridot, which is the celebration, prosperity, and coherence. We have grace, and how appropriate, right, for that. I am filled with the same beauty, poise, and divine perfection as all of God's others creations, right? God gives us grace, and we are full of grace that we can then extend on to others, right? Again, it falls under barriers. Right now, you're being herded into a new situation. You may not know how you got here, right? There are barriers ahead. However, they might be just an illusion, right? Okay, so let's keep going. Under face the fear and highlight mineral salt, easing grief, loss, and sadness. What message do you have here? Action. So here we have a mother and two little ones. Notice that they all have halos, right, over their head, right? So it says, today I take action related to the priorities that I have previously put off, right? Okay. So the first one is face the fear. Is there something that you've kind of been fearing that you've just kind of been ignoring, right? And so this is saying, rather than ignoring it, it's time to face it. How do we face it? We take action steps, right? We take action steps. And why were we ignoring it? Because we might have been working through grief, loss, and or sadness. Okay. Tell us more about this caution in the Larimore Rose Quartz with grace, respect, and emotional healing. We have truth. Okay. I am lovingly honest with myself and others. Okay. Again, we have perhaps not all facts are being revealed to you at this time. You see most of the picture, but should proceed with caution, staying close to the pieces that are revealed, right? The truth that is being revealed to you. I am lovingly honest with myself and others. Okay, the next card under Harmony and Ascended Masters, no surprise, we have signs. I watch for, notice, and I trust the signs that heaven continually sends. Okay. You are being sent signs from the universe. Regarding the situation that you are in. I'm being guided, 1, to look at the bottom of the deck, and 2, to split the deck. It's a miracle. I trust in God to know the perfect solution in this situation. So a miracle here. I'm not going to look anymore at the bottom of the deck because I know me, but I'm going to split the deck now. Let's see what comes up. Open your heart. I allow myself to feel the full range of emotions, especially all the forms of love, right? So here again today, feeling the feelings. Moon cycles will have a way of having that come up. Open your heart. Allow yourself to feel the full range of emotions, whatever they are, especially the ones of love. Okay. The other one is giving and receiving. Okay. This is the 6 of Pentacles in the tarot deck. I balance being generous and receptive because both are equally important, right? Giving and receiving. Giving and receiving. So it's also a call to recognize when relationships are not in balance, right? Are you always giving but never receiving? So then you recognize there's maybe a depletion taking place. Is someone always pulling on you for something, right? Um, and it doesn't mean you don't want to help, but there can be a thing about just recognizing, is there balance in the relationship, right? Is there balance in it? And there might not be balance all the time, because someone might be in need and someone is able to help. But if it keeps going on and on and on and on and on, are they trying to help themselves, or do they see someone as an easy I'm kind of getting some word. I don't know if I want to use the word easy target. You could use target. You could use prey. You could use like like they're just not choosing to raise their energy because they figure they can just pull off of your stuff or energy or whatever that is, right? But if you see someone's really trying to do the work, they're trying to make shifts in their life, they're working to make changes, but maybe they just need a little help, right? Um, you know, just being aware of that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't help people, but I'm saying being aware of like a person might be able to give someone something, say financially or whatever. Um, if someone has like finances, but they might receive from the other person. Um, Maybe that other person doesn't have finance to give back, but they have um, tranquility, peacefulness, presence, right? They're there to be someone to have enriching conversations with. They listen, right? They help where they can. Um, so it's not always one for one in the same way, right? But it's like, are each getting something from the relationship? Is it reciprocal, right? In some ways. Anyway, so let's see if there's anything else. I'm just gonna grab one of these message sticks. I don't have too many here. I've given them away, but we'll just see if we pick one. If it's the same one as last time, I'm gonna get a different one. Okay. He who plants kindness gathers love. That's by Saint Basil. Saint Basil. Okay. The other side, it says, he who sows courtesy reaps friendship. That's also by Saint Basil. So, just kind of kindness and courtesy, kind of a nice way to wrap up the message. But I want to say thank you for joining me. I hope you have an amazing day. I appreciate your comments, feedback, your interaction with the channel. Have a great day.